This conference will now be recorded.
We'll record the conference. And then we'll start. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Now, Commissioner Waters, if you would do an invocation for us.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you tonight in the name of Jesus. We thank you for everything blessed we have bestowed upon us, Father, Lord. We thank you for the rain you are showing our way. Lord, as you bless us, go to the meeting tonight, be with us, give us the guidance, the wisdom, and leadership we need to move forward for the betterment of our community. Thank you for what you've done, what you want to do. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you. Would everybody please remain standing. I'd like a moment of silence for those who've passed away in our town. We have Virginia Hicks, Ethel Shackelford, Henry Stevens, Charles Wilson Jr., Alberta Ball, and a friend of mine, Rick Hatsel, who passed away today. He's the brother of Scott Hatsel, the mayor of Cedar Point. So I'd like for our town to send their town condolences to the mayor over there. So a moment of silence for those people, please. Thank you. You may be seated. This time I would like to remind everybody, now that we're starting to get back in the feel of things and we're all personal, please, if you have a cell phone, put it on vibrate. We don't want to hear the ringing. And for gentlemen on the board, if you have any conflict of interest with anything that is on the agenda for tonight, please make that so right now if you have any issues. If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is the adoption of the agenda as it is. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Commissioner Miller? I couldn't hear you, Dom. Did yes. Okay, yes. Thank you. Don't want to forget about you.
I just got to remember to hit the button.
Okay, thanks. Next up is the adoption of the consent agenda, which is the approval of the April 12 meeting minutes, as well as the April 28 special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to accept those?
Move to accept.
A second. All in favor? Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Thank you. Next up is public comments. I believe we only have one person signed up, and that's Patricia Rudderman. Hello, Patricia. I'm doing fine. I'm going to put this speaker by you so people can hear you online. That's fine. Short's just as important as long. Sometimes more better. Right.
Thank you. Well, I feel like I'm a broken record here. I see that we have a park going in at the end of June, and we have the raft thing over there on 58, and I'd like to know why we can't put any money into that little park on Quailwood. It's a mess over there, and everything is overgrown. But there's a ton of kids. Years ago, there weren't any kids over there, but there are a ton of kids over there now. And I constantly see parents, you know, running with the kids in the strollers and that type of thing. There is nothing there that's even partially inviting for anybody to bring their, I'd be afraid to bring my kids over there, to be honest with you. And I'd just like to see you guys put a little bit of money into it, put some swing sets in there, someplace for those little ones to play. It's already there. You've had it for years. And right now, the only thing that it's being used for is for dogs to poop in there. And I took some pictures, which of course then, do you think I could find my photo paper? No. But Jeff, you know the area that I'm talking about. And if it was a few years ago when there were no kids, maybe it would have made a difference. But you know, now there's a gazillion of them. And so I'm going to ask you once again somewhere to find some money to put into that little park so that the neighbors in that neighborhood can use it, not have to go drive to Swansboro, which is a model park, or even just across to Western. You have to drive everywhere in order to bring your kids to have some place to play. So that's my spin on it. So, thank you.
We're actually just talking about that right before the meeting with Susan. She was bringing up the same thing. So see if maybe we can get a consensus of what maybe you'd like to see in that neighborhood to go in that park. You mentioned swings. And just if there's anything else, we could try to do. Definitely let us know, Susan, if you could sort of let us know as well what you think would go fit well there for that neighborhood, for the kids especially. Yeah. Well, thank you for your comments.
Second regard to what Ms. Rudman just spoke about, did we put $10,000 in the budget a year or so ago for that park? And it never got used and reverted back to the general fund?
I think you're referring to the park on the Heel Lane, not the one on Quailwood. Yeah, I think that was the one you're referring to. I don't know if that money actually got put aside, but if it did, it just rolled back into the general fund. And that's probably the park because we weren't able to do what we were wanting to do with that park up there on the Heel Lane. So
Maybe it's time to get a committee or something. Decide something that makes it long.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say for commissioners, since we've already brought up, there was a major effort down on the one on the Heel Lane about, I want to say 10 years ago. And it included basketball court, a lot of amenities, a lot of shrubbery and stuff. And it was done, as Steve suggested, through a committee. We had 4 or 5 meetings down here with the people, mostly from Stark and North. And it got probably a little bit more expensive than what I was willing to do, but there was plenty of grant money out there to do that. And the problem that the group had, they never could come to a consensus on what to do. They kind of liked the design, but they wanted it exclusively for the citizens of Cape Carter. Of course, we couldn't do that if we took grant. But those designs are around here, so if we don't have to start at ground zero. And this was for the one on the Heel Lane. So if a committee is formed, we got something to start with, and we're going to see what we do.
The 2 blocks together.
No, we put it on one and part of another one, and made the other one a potential roadway that would go to Chimney Branch Road if that was ever finished. So we would have a way to go right when you go in Morehead City and cut right out through the road instead of going all the way around. So it was pretty detailed, and there's drawings around here somewhere.
Laura. All right, with that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the discussion update on the UDO process. And we have Ann Darby here from Summit. I'm going to put the mic up here for you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Darby. I'm a planner with Summit Design and Engineering. Thank you for having me. We're excited to work with Cape Carteret on 2 projects. One is the creation of a unified development ordinance, which I'm sure you all know. And the other is a comprehensive land use plan that fits the requirements of both the CAMA, the Coastal Area Management Act, and Chapter 160D of North Carolina General Statutes. So just as an update, we have, as you know, you've appointed steering committee members. We have our 3rd meeting tomorrow. And that's why I'm down here. But right now we have, for the UDO, we have a rough draft of the unified, I'm going to give a little background just so it doesn't sound like I'm talking gibberish. The unified development ordinance combines all ordinances that are part of the town code that pertain to building and development. So the zoning ordinance, the subdivision ordinance, waterways, etc. and we're putting them all together and making it more simple to understand, which I should have also made my language here tonight more simple to understand. So we have a draft of, a very rough draft of the Unified Development Ordinance that has been sent to the steering committee. We'll have a meeting tomorrow where we'll go through that, make sure that we're headed in the right direction with content. We've also created a website for the land use plan so that we're basically having an ongoing accepting of people's vision statements in terms of what everyone wants Cape Carteret to be. We have done preliminary mapping of the mapping that's required by CAMA to go in the land use plan, and are about to start the data analysis phase. And then we're going into the public participation phase. So another thing that we're going to work on with the steering committee is having a public participation plan, making sure that everybody who wants their voice to be heard can be part of that visioning so that we can create a document that leads us there. I've written down all of your comments, ma'am. And that's it. That's where we are. I'm happy to answer any questions. I am available to discuss it for questions, comments, concerns. You can email me. I have a bunch of cards here, and Zach and Heather both know how to get in touch with me. And yeah, everything is moving along according to schedule, and we should bring a draft Unified Development Ordinance to you for review before it's supposed to be adopted by July 1st of this year. I don't know that there are massive consequences if it's not, but I think it's a really good goal to shoot for. And so we will have a draft out for you to look at probably within the next month. And I hope that y'all will all help spread the word about public participation in the land use plan, because we really need as much feedback as possible. We're actually in the process right now of also creating an interactive mapping exercise that will be linked from the website. So if people can't come to one of the public meetings, which we will have in-person public meetings, but if people can't come, we're also collecting data, opinions, vision statements all online.
Questions, gentlemen?
Yeah, this is a pretty complex thing. You know, we got 300 or 400 pages of ordinance. It has to, basically, if nothing changes other than, I understand there's some statutory things that are going to be added that should have been added long ago, but we don't have them. But my concern is this: what mechanism are we going to use to make sure every item that's in the existing ordinance is in the new ordinance? You know, there's little things like something I just, for example, one principal use for a lot, that particular thing, which keeps all our residential districts in single family. Okay? It's in several places in the existing ordinance. It's apparently only about that big, but it's vital to what's going on here. How do we ensure that something like that, many others, is not missed?
So basically right now that gets down to how I'm organizing my work. and that is, as what we did was create a draft table of contents for the Unified Development Ordinance by looking at dozens and dozens of other precedents, by reading the requirements in Chapter 160D, which is that statewide legislation. And then we created a draft table of contents that the steering committee approved. And then what the next step is to then populate and it's color coded. So it's color coded by the source of the language. So if it comes from verbatim from your current ordinances, it goes in, it happens to be maroon, it goes in, it's in maroon. And once it comes out of the existing code, it gets highlighted. So, and we can also do, a bunch of different comparison tools in Word. And that's why we need lots of eyes to review it. But in general, the steering committee, and it's a great idea, asked for it to be color coded according to the source of the language. And then part of it is just me tracking.
Will it be necessary as to get to the end of the process? And I personally think July is too soon. Some of this line out is.
It's an aggressive schedule.
Very pressing. I'm just wondering if somebody But when we go to approve that ordinance,
Mhm.
on the night that we approve it, that everybody here is confident and everything is in there. Because if you miss something, you have now an ordinance to prove that something intended to be in there that is not.
That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it. So how do you make sure? One, all of you are going to have the draft, and it would be great if everyone could review it closely. There's also, that's why I'm available to you if you have a question about a particular clause, for example. We can talk about it, email about it, and then, but also you can also go through that. You'll have a Word document and you can search.
That brings me to my next question. Is that how different is the search function to find a paragraph or a phrase that's in the, how is that different than what we have now?
We're going to do it in PDF format as a final, and then we'll have an index, and then we'll also have a linked table of contents, so you can jump. It will just make it a lot easier to navigate and search.
Okay. Maybe this is my final question, but certain things in the ordinance are repeated many times through the existing ordinance. You'll see the exact same phrase or paragraph in sometimes 3, 4, or 5 different times. Depending on what it is. Is that going to still make it a big document or those kinds of things?
So one of the goals, and this came out of the steering committee, is to simplify, to make sure that it's more accessible in every way. The language, having a linked table of contents, adding graphics, all of it should be more accessible. And so it's probably going to be shorter, and one of the ways to make it shorter is to remove those redundancies. And so the idea is, yeah, basically, I was going to say that actually when you asked how do you make sure that everything that's in the existing ordinance goes into the UDO, we're going to track it and make sure we know what does go in and what doesn't go in. But just because it's in the existing UDO doesn't mean. So the first thing that we'll talk about with the steering committee tomorrow is where can we streamline? We'll start with, do we have the correct content? Are we going in the right direction? Are there any red flags that you see? And then we will work on consistency, on language, on redundancies. That'll be the next phase.
Anybody else?
That would be a good time if there's specific elements of the existing ordinances that you want to make sure are addressed in the CDO process, to kind of bring this up at this time. For instance, if there's a concern about waterways ordinance and wanting to look at that, even if it's a broad topic, that way Ann has some direction from the board about specific items that we kind of need to make sure we're paying attention to. This would be a good time for instance this up while Ann's in town to bring the board meeting as well. But I hear that feedback.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sure. That suggests to me, Zach, that you're going to change something. Well, the change process requires, in many cases, going through the planning board for a study and a recommendation and then coming before the board. So other than, I don't know in getting this done that we want to be changing things that where the old one is different, the new one is different from the old one. I would have concerns how we could, this is May, July is one meeting away. So that's my concern, making change.
But doesn't, in the result, we have to vote on the entire.
Right.
Zach, I personally would like to see some strengthening done on waterways. I think that these boat lists are getting a little high. Someone need to look at that. That's the only thing. You and I have had that discussion before, so you probably know
Yeah, I think it's important to emphasize there are going to be aspects that change, but that is the process. And inevitably, I mean, that's what we're paying someone to do, not just copy and paste our existing ordinances into a different format. So there are going to be some things that we change, but that I think would run through the planning board first for consideration of the entire document, and then we'll go for adoption. But instead of it just being one text amendment, this is essentially it's a series. It's the entire document. That was one of the key aspects in cleaning up the code of ordinances and transforming it to a UDO, is that we come out with much better products that, one, reflects the 160B requirements, but two, addresses some of the issues that staff has seen in the ordinances that have come up as a reoccurring theme in board meetings. So I think it's going to be helpful in that sense. Again, that's where we need to be in terms of the UDO that's functional and does what we need to do. So,
I don't know if this applies directly to UDO, I feel like it does, but I always thought that multiple photo slips, and Mike and I have had this conversation many times. I consider that commercial in a residential area. I mean, it's not hanging, honestly. I know Mike and I had that conversation, he probably had a long look at it. I always have a problem with commercial in businesses.
yeah, I think the aspect.
We don't allow it on the land,
I think the aspects about that is each slip is squeezed individually, and essentially a commercial enterprise there, and you can do 10 slips and go to the next property, do 10 more, kind of thing. That's where it starts to, turn into a commercial sort of activity. So,
too late. The land is safe within, where you look now, supposedly. But
Could not be controlled by the square footage of the property to that to the public.
It is. It's covered in it. That's been put in there to allow use of the waterway, and but what I'm saying is, and I agree that changes need to be made, but I don't know why we're trying to do this whole thing that unless we input to somebody what it is we want to change, and that takes planning board input, coming back on us and kicking it around a bit. I agree with those things that we should change, but I don't know that this is the time. Because I would want to see a summary of all the things, and when we go from the old document to the new one, summary of all the things that are different or changes. So that, 2 years later, you're dealing with something, you're looking, I didn't know that was here. Those are the kind of things we want.
But what I said earlier, since you at the very end of their product, if you will, we'll vote on it. So if you make any changes, we'll vote on it.
Oh, I understand it, but this is May and we have to have it done by June 30th. I don't know that if there's a dozen of those things that that takes us forever to just get one thing.
So I think it's asking for what we would like to see.
yeah, that's what I'm seeking tonight, so that we can give that feedback to Ann, take that and incorporate that in the document that she's working on for the UDO. I'd say that it's a much more efficient process that if we know there's things that need to be changed, let's make those changes now and allow you while she's working on it to incorporate that into the document. So there's no, cross references or incorrect references, that it all, makes sense. To me, it makes sense to do it now when we have the opportunity to do it, and make sure those things are included. I mean, that's what we hired someone to do, is to create a UDO that reflects what needs of the town are. So I would say we should utilize that opportunity to make sure everything that we would like to see included in there is included. So, the waterways ordinance being one, there's been talk about the commercial site plan process and how that could be modified. So there's quite a few things like that need to be modified and looked at. This would be the opportunity to do that, to really do it the most efficient way. Otherwise, I mean, if we wait off, we're going to be coming back and every meeting, for the next year, we'll be doing a text amendment to try to catch up with these things. So I think from the standpoint of allowing hands to incorporate it into the document, this makes the most sense.
I think the neighboring towns that have adopted UDOs, they're constantly read their agenda changing. So I think We're gonna have to do that tomorrow.
May I make 2 comments?
Well, I'll point out to some neighboring towns that adopt the UDOs and read their agenda. I think, I can agree that they're changing.
Yeah, I think that might have something to do with how theirs was prepared. And I don't want to talk negatively about it, but I think it's one of those kind of you get what you pay for. And you, all right,
We seen how it's prepared. All I'm saying, I'm not saying anything.
yeah, but I think letting Dan know now is going to make sure that we have a much better document at the end of this process. That way we're not doing like other counties, we would constantly have to go back and rewrite.
I agree, because it seems like, why hire a company to do it? Will constantly change it like our neighboring town does.
Yeah, let's get it right the first time.
Yes, let me ask you a question. That complicates the process. It's complicated enough for me just to change what we got, any changes to the new one to make sure it's all in there. I don't know what concern. Is there, why are we hung up on July 1st? So that's my concern. You know, I would totally agree with you. If we could sit around and have several meetings and get this input to them, things we'd like to see changed in it. And then go forward through the process, then we see, yeah, that's what I want to see, and then we vote on it. But I don't know that we can do that between now and 30. Is there any chance we can move this thing into September or something like that?
So that's not a self-imposed timeline, that's a statutorily imposed timeline for 160D. So we're basically trying to get it done to comply with 160D to make sure that the UDO is compliant with the requirements that are in 160D. The risk that we run potentially by going past the July 1st timeframe is that if there is something that is inconsistent with 160D and we apply that to a development situation in town, if we go to court, we're not going to stand a very strong chance because we've neglected to update to reflect the 160D requirements. So we do put ourselves in a potentially challenging legal position to defend those actions. And I mean, with the broad sweeping changes that are in 160D, I mean, I would caution the board against, waiting too far after that July 1st. And then even something issuing a zoning permit, having some sort of requirement in there, for instance, the minimum square footage size of the structure where it still says 600 square feet or less, we can't enforce that, right? I mean, we could be putting ourselves in a tedious legal situation by doing that. That's the emphasis on the tight timeline. Ideally, if we had more time, I mean, we would stretch this out for several months, like we already laid these plans. It doesn't kind of end on until next July, July 1st, which is giving us all the time to work on that. We're coming up on that timeline as a statutorily imposed timeline rather than self.
What is the latest that you can take comments from the commission? I mean, get that done by July 1st.
Ideally, we want to get it done by July 1st. That and then it's up to you. If you have all the information, you can weigh the risk benefit. You can do your own risk benefit analysis of opening yourself up to potential liability. How much of a risk do you think that is? Or I mean, you understand the risk, so that's maybe. Mm-hmm. I would think probably a month from now. So early June. Yeah, a rough draft definitely is open to changes. And I just want to make clear that there aren't going to be secret changes. That we're going to track them all. Well,
Yeah, I think, with that timeline, I would say between now and the beginning of June, if there are things that you already know about, that would be a good opportunity to reach out. And it's not in this meeting, but separate from that, and just kind of articulate what those items are. And if there's still additional things once the draft has been provided, then to provide additional commentary then, so additional changes can be made. But some of the things like the water, water facilities, that's something that we know right now is an issue. So that's why it's good to put those things out there so you're aware that that is an issue that is very important. So that way that can be reflected in the document, in the draft document.
What
So-
about the steering committee? Have they offered any?
That's the meat of our meeting tomorrow. Mhm.
That's the only thing, your very first question, that's the only thing that I feel like I wanted to add to the strengthening of our law. Like that's crucial. Before it gets too far.
Yeah, I think one other thing we had talked about was just looking at, damage to the roads is associated with, certain projects and things like that, whether, there's provision in there now about requiring a security deposit and things like that. So that is something else that we look at, is how we deal with those situations where you have a heavy traffic project and what we can do to incorporate some language in there to address this situation, to prevent, some of the damage to the roadways and then have a method to reclaim some of those costs. So I think that is something we have talked about as well. That I'll mention.
You need some input from the town attorney on
As far as security deposits,
that. Not as far as the laws, I mean, can we do that?
oh, yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of leeway there. A lot of this is policy decisions as far as.
I'd like to also look at the parking. That needs to be addressed more strictly.
There is designated for no parking in the right of way.
So we can keep on having that same discussion. And then keep the circle back and we can look at.
Is that for on-site or an on-street parking? Because the on-street parking section of your code is not going to be in the UDO.
Yeah, I think that's probably more in the administrative section. It's in a different chapter of that, but that's something we could remedy that just by allowing now manager in consultation with the police chief to determine areas that are, high traffic. If you wanted to make it, and it had a set of criteria attached to it, with these to apply for this circumstances, we can kind of curb the number of requests that we have to bring forward.
And I'll make sure that everyone has my card, and I'm here till Wednesday if anyone has more questions.
Any other comments? Colin, you have anything? Don't forget about you. You here.
Don, did you have any comments?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much, Ann. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Next up is the staff update, Zach.
All right, so we got a lot of updates this evening, so we'll run through them. We had the first Cape Carteret Yard of the Season contest on Friday, so want to thank the Cape Carteret Garden Club. Want to thank Lowe's Home Improvement who provided the gift cards for the winning house, and want to thank all of the participants in the contest. So this is 106 Fairway Lane, and they were the winners of the Cape Carteret Spring Yard of the Season. So had a really good time with the Garden Club on Friday going around. It's really cool to see all the different landscaping and all the effort that the residents have put into this. So we're going to have another one coming up in July that will be themed patriotic. So hopefully it'll be the most patriotic house. So we should have some really cool entries for that. So stay tuned on that. We've been making some progress on the Pettiford Creek launch site. So we're able to pour the sidewalk for the facility. So you can see Alex and Adam there pouring a section of the sidewalk, and you can see the completed sidewalk there on the right. So they did a really good job with that, and appreciate them getting that done. And want to give a shout out to Mike Bishop, who went down and helped me paint the old ferry house. So you can see there on the bottom, we've got a fresh coat of paint on there. And thank you to Public Works for prepping that. We got a couple more spots that we got to paint, but it looks a lot better. And once we finish up on the trim and everything else, I think it's going to look really sharp. So, and I think with what we got later on the agenda tonight, that's going to make that into a really nice park area. So.
What's inside
Right now, it's just concrete stall areas, and that's pretty much it. So,
that stone?
like shower, I think there's showers and toilets that are in there. So,
We're gonna make that functional?
well, we talked about potentially if we knocked all that out and had that as like a little meeting space that people could, town residents could reserve it, polish the concrete or something like that, and people would have a place where they could go in there and either have like a picnicking there or have some of the picnic on the tables outside. It's a couple different possibilities. Talk about kayak storage in there potentially or something like that. Could be a good place to get them out of the elements, and people could go down there and check out a kayak or something to that effect. So definitely open to suggestions and ideas, and right now just trying to make the outside of it look pretty. So and then hopefully get inside and figure out what we can do with it. But I do understand that the stuff in the middle is not load bearing, so we could open that space up, which would be pretty neat. So also want to mention we've got the Cape Carteret Military Banners program. So Public Works will be putting those up in the next couple weeks before Memorial Day. So if you're interested in participating in that, definitely reach out to Barbara Owens. There's her email address, bowens@capecarteret.org, or give us a call at 252-393-8483. I want to give a shout out to the Emerald Isle Public Works Department. Here's a picture from their recent pickup. They've done a really great job for us coming over here and picking up our debris. So really want to commend them on that. They have a great team that comes in, and we really appreciate them working that deal out with us, and that meant a lot to us that they're able to help us out. So, and excited to share that Ryan has taken the first load using our knuckle boom truck up to Hibbs. So he's going to be practicing on that and getting the hang of it. But that is good news that we've been able to utilize that. So for upcoming pickups, that's some light on the horizon. We'll be able to do this in-house and be able to knock this out. So exciting news there. Following our meeting, our last meeting, we created a Cape Carteret Neighborhood Watch Facebook page. And on the Facebook page, we also have a link to a sign-up form where you can sign up to participate in the Cape Carteret Neighborhood Watch program. And we also have it here on the website with the sign-up form. So we've already had some people sign up. So definitely spread the word. Right now, we're just trying to get a good list together, so maybe we can have a kickoff meeting and start to identify some leaders in each of the neighborhoods. So that's something Chief and I have been working on, and I think that's going to be a really good thing for the community. And appreciate Commissioner Waters' efforts on getting this in place. So and also for Emerald Isle giving some good feedback to Chief McKinney on the program. So a couple of other updates. We've got the UDO public engagement session tomorrow, May 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. We also have the Movie in the Park, June 18th at 8:30 p.m. The land use plan public engagement session will be on June 25th from 4 to 8 p.m. And then that'll be followed by the Sounds by the Sound summer concert, which will also be on June 25th from 6:30 to 8. And the idea being that we'll be able to get some people out there to attend the concert, and then also to give some feedback on the land use plan. So that should be a nice evening. We're working on getting all that stuff ironed out right now. Also right around the corner, we've got for Bee City USA, the National Pollinators Week, which is June 21st through June 25th. So we're working on some different activities right now to prepare for that. And you'll notice that the pots out front, Barbara has done a great job at getting those planted with some bee-friendly plantings. We're also going to do a raised bed on the backside of Town Hall. So we're brainstorming right now to come up with some activities that will be good during the National Pollinators Week. So stay tuned for that. Then we've been planning for the Crystal Coast Watermelon Festival. That'll be on July 10th from 3 to 8 p.m. Excited that the BOC Sound Watermelon Association has expressed interest, and we've got a good number of vendors and other folks that are interested in the festival. So really picking up some steam on Facebook. We're really excited for that. So stay tuned for more information on that in the coming weeks. And here are some of those pots up front of Town Hall that Barbara did today. Did a great job on those. So those will be really pretty when those are fully grown out. So she's going to be doing some stuff to enhance the aesthetics here at Town Hall, and also provide some pollinator friendly flowers. So really appreciate her doing that. And it is also National Police Week, so want to recognize and thank the Cape Carteret Police Department for everything that they do, not just this week, but every day of the year. So thank you all for what you do. And we're really fortunate to have the police department that we do. You know, it's we're fortunate to have a team of officers that really care about our community and care about doing the best job that they can to serve our community. So just want to recognize them and thank them. So, and that's all I've got for now, unless there's any questions. Yep, Chief has the information on that. He had reached out. So we have that one-time upfront cost, and I've included that in the budget. And I think it was like a $200, it's $250 with a $50 rebate on the actual hardware side of it. So we've got all that included in the budget for next year, and we'll be doing some emails to send that information out and to get that word out to the community. So we're excited to see that take off. And then also we got Chief and Ryan here, so let them give the
All right, Chief, you come get the speaker. You stand right there and then hand to whoever else wants to speak.
Okay. Well, I write down my information. So in April, officers logged over 2,000 entries on police pack. They stepped up traffic enforcement and did just under 400 traffic stops. They took reports for 12 motor vehicle collisions. They made 10 arrests, which included 2 misdemeanor arrests and 8 felony arrests with 13 charges. And as always, check out our Facebook page. We post those stats each month. And finally, I also want to give a shout out to the officers in the job that they do also. It's good to have reliable officers and that you can go home and sometimes not have to worry about them out here, that they're doing the job that they love to do and are called to serve and protect. And that's basically it.
Well, yeah, this week was my first week, and so what we had going on this week so far, we started mowing on 58 from the bridge up to Pettiford Creek Bridge. We had NC DOT out there as well. They started doing the wildflower program out there, so those are in the ground. So we're looking forward to that in the future. We working on getting the park cleaned up down 58, and started the repairs on the building, as Zach mentioned. Getting ready for the military banners coming up here soon, getting all of our hardware and everything in line. Like you said, we're starting to get ready to utilize that knuckle boom truck. I just started using it this week, and keep going with the maintenance on here as far as getting rolling on the mowing and getting everything cleaned up and getting this town looking good.
Thank you, and welcome to the town.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Chief, I want to just follow up on a conversation you and I had last meeting. I did speak to Sheriff Bob probably on this, but I think I'm copying it. He's short on manpower, as you mentioned. However, he is asking for 4 new deputies, 4 cars, budget, 2 of which will be in Western Clark County, which would bring up their presence over here. But for the time being, he doesn't have anybody he can cut loose to help direct traffic. I didn't let him off the hook completely, so I make you a call and let you know what. All right. So.
All right, is that it? Staff updates. Next up then is consideration of the Enterprise Fleet Maintenance Program and Budget Amendment 2020.2021.6. I guess I forgot to ask Don once again. I'm sorry, Don. Did you have any comments or questions for staff about the updates?
No, Mayor, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully everybody can see that. I've got that up on the screen now. So at the April Board of Commissioners meeting, Enterprise presented a fleet management program to address the issues the town is currently facing as a result of an aging fleet and rising maintenance costs. Town staff has worked with Enterprise to prepare updated pricing to ensure that all costs are adequately reflected in both the current fiscal year as well as in the upcoming FY 21-22 budget. Below is a breakdown of the cost for the Enterprise Fleet Management Program. So for the current fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, the upfront aftermarket cost would be $12,937. That accounts for 2 public works vehicles, that'd be $7,550. And then 3 police vehicles, that's $5,387. The estimated taxes, license fee, delivery fee for all 5 vehicles is $7,075, and that's the breakdown below that. So the total current year budget amendment amount would be $20,012. For the next fiscal year, we also included that breakdown as well for what we'll include in the FY 21-22 budget, which is the Public Works annual cost with maintenance for 2 vehicles at $18,522.48. The Public Works Fleet Management cost at $192. The police annual cost without maintenance for 3 vehicles, $27,905.40. The police fleet management cost, $864, and the general administration fleet management cost at $96. And that would put the total budget amount in the FY 21-22 budget at $47,579.88. Other costs that are not included in the enterprise contract but are included in the FY 21-22 budget would be the vehicle graphics for the 3 police vehicles, which comes to a total of $1,500. So for the current fiscal year, we would need to do a budget amendment to cover the upfront aftermarket costs, including taxes, license, and delivery fees of the program. So we would need to increase revenues through a transfer from the undesignated fund balance for $20,012, and then increase our expenditures in the Public Works Department by $10,637, and the Police Department by $9,375. And the requested action is for the Board of Commissioners to consider approving Budget Amendment number 16 and to authorize the town manager in consultation with the town attorney to enter into a contract with Enterprise Fleet Management Incorporated.
All right. Do we have a motion on that? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on, Don.
So the ETA is,
Go ahead.
it's going to be a ways out. It'll probably be, if you go with how many weeks it said, I think around September would be the ETA currently, just because of the backlog in production and everything else. So that's why we really wanted to get this before everybody tonight, so we can go ahead and put that order in. And the sooner we get the order in, the sooner that hopefully we can get those vehicles in place. But yeah, it's got quite a lead time on it right now, just with the production backlog. So probably September timeframe. So.
Okay,
Public
hang
Works
on.
is vehicles that could be, it could be subject to some fluctuation. That one of those might be a little bit later than that. So.
All right. Now, Don had a comment, so Don, go ahead.
Actually, I've got a question, Zach. I believe this was brought up before, and I'm still not clear what the answer was. With the police vehicles, maintenance is not included in that cost. Now, if you buy a new vehicle, you normally have like 3 years, 36,000 miles, or 5 years, 100,000, whatever the case might be. Do we have the same thing with the lease vehicles? In other words, do we have a 3-year, 36,000 mile where maintenance is covered, or are we paying maintenance from the very beginning? I'm not clear about that.
I think if it's something that's covered under like the powertrain warranty, I think that it is something that we would be able, like the program would be able to claim that cost. So if it's something that's under warranty, that's like a manufacturer's warranty, we'd still be able to apply it in that circumstance. At least that's my understanding of it. So Chief and Sandy are nodding as well. So I think that we would be able to claim any of those costs that are covered under warranty, just like if we bought it at the dealership. So obviously we wouldn't have a dealership warranty unless they might include that depending on the dealership they get it. Just depends on the route they go. So.
Okay, okay, thank you.
All right, Mike.
Yeah. Minority here, because I'm just not a believer in leasing. It introduces another party that makes a living off of what we spend on vehicles. Vehicles that we have that are built today easily go 150, 200,000 miles. Well, I'm just not supportive of this, but I realize it's the board voting to go forward with this. That's all I have.
Any other questions, comments? All right.
Just what you said, Nathan did when I talked to him, just to answer Commissioner Martin, that we could possibly have the public sooner than that. The police ones are the ones that are much harder to get, but the public works could be sooner.
Okay. All right, we have the second and the motion to accept. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Don?
Yes.
Okay, and all opposed? Motion carries 4-1. And next on the agenda is the discussion of a Board of Commissioners Planning Board representative. And I believe you were, Mike, you were bringing that up because I mentioned it.
Yes, actually, you had brought it up.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to propose just two things. That, one, that we, at your suggestion, we have a designated Board of Commissioner attend each planning board meeting. That can be alphabetically, make it the responsibility of the person supposed to attend that meeting to make sure somebody's there in case they can't. Just
Right.
that simple. And also, I would like to see the planning board represented as an agenda item this meeting each week, that they have a meeting. So that they can come and speak before the thing and present the things, rather than having Zach do that for them. Those are the two things that I'd like to say.
Well, the one about as far as having us go there, that could be a consensus, just everybody sort of agree with that. Is that correct? And it'd just be a matter of you guys saying, yeah, and we'll just put a schedule together. Usually most towns will do that at the beginning of fiscal year. So if we could put something together for July 1st to go forward into that year, that would be fine if y'all are okay with that. And like I say, if you can't make it, you just call somebody and see if they can cover for you.
Yeah, I'd like to say I have next meeting and I can't make it. It's my responsibility to get somebody.
Right. I try to make them all, but sometimes I have stuff, everybody has something, you have life that happens. But I think it's just nice for everybody to at least show up for a meeting, on a schedule like that. So how do y'all feel about that? Yeah.
I've attended the last 2 out of 3, so I'm good.
All right. Don?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay, well, we'll just put together a tentative schedule for next month. And if you got any conflicts, of right away, just let Zach know.
Are those meetings still working?
I think they are right now.
Are you virtual?
We're both.
It's sort of like we're doing here today. It's sort of a hybrid is what we're doing right now.
Okay, I think the last one, Susan was here.
Yes.
First one y'all had actually in person.
Second one that we have people on in here.
Okay, so we have the option of being either virtual or.
Yeah, right now you do. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So if it's convenient, I think you had 2 board members that were virtual last meeting.
While you're on that, gotta get back to the other part.
Right. And if you would, just repeat that for me. what you were talking about as far as planning board.
Oh, it used to be that the planning board was on the agenda, they came right to the top and they reported on any actions that they take so that we are not really talk to whoever there. It doesn't have to be the chair, it can be somebody they designate, somebody there who could answers any questions for those that didn't attend the meeting. I'd like to make that part, see that part of our meeting to make the planning board more inclusive in what goes on in this board.
How do you feel about that, Susan?
Yeah, oh, I think it's a great idea.
I do
And
too.
I think the planning board agrees that we did.
Okay. Well, there again, that's also a consensus issue. We can put whatever we want on the agenda, so we'll just, we'll do that. Don, how do you feel about it? Don't want you left out.
I'm good with that.
Okay, all right, so we'll make it so.
One other comment on that, the last virtual meeting I attended, even when the thing was up with Zach, I couldn't hear it. I need to spend a little money on it. If we're gonna do these virtual things, for people who can't get, I think it's a good idea. We need to get some better microphone systems so that we can be heard.
I want to see how, I've been wanting to go over and see how Onslow County does their meetings, because you hear everything. That's a great presentation. I don't know what kind of equipment they're using, but I just want to sort of get an idea of how they're set up, and because that's, I agree, being able to hear is very important. So we'll look into that.
Well, you're the man, you have a lot of experience in microphones.
Yeah. And bad ones. So we'll see. All right, next up is put my glasses on. Consideration of budget amendment 2020.2021.17 for the 305 Lejeune Park improvements. Zach.
All right, at the April 28th Board of Commissioners budget meeting, the board requested that staff provide a budget amendment for improvements to the new town park located at 307 Lejeune Road. The list below summarizes the cost of improvements to the ferry landing park: 3 picnic tables, which would be $825, a park sign, $440, park rules signage, $125, charcoal grill, $233, white vinyl fence, $5,296, 2 wooden swings, $1,070, paint and flood vents for the old ferry house, $281, and a dog waste station for $106. That would be $8,376. So the budget amendment would be a transfer from the undesignated fund balance for $8,376 and an increase in the Parks and Recreation improvement line by $8,376. And the requested action is for the Board of Commissioners to consider approving the budget amendment to cover the cost of improvements to the ferry landing park. And then also we have the conceptual plan. Make that a little bit bigger. And just an example of the kind of swing that we were thinking about for down there, something that faces out towards Bogue Sound that people could sit out and look out at the water. So I think that'd be a really nice addition to the park down there. And we've been talking with Ryerson, Tom Ryerson out of Ryerson Unlimited about building those swings for us. So I think that'd be a really good addition down there. On the site plan, we have those there at the end of the peninsula, have some picnic tables, a little parking area, and then a fence surrounding the property to kind of delineate where that park is. So, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I know it's difficult for the folks to hear online, so if there are any questions on that side, we'll try to make sure we get it down there.
All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, Steve Martin has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Steve. Okay, thank you, Don. Already got seconded by Commissioner King. Discussion, comments? Hang on, let me come see you, Steve. Okay, good. Go ahead.
Zach, on these swings, we discussed it on the phone earlier, I think. Feel obligated to bring it in public here. The wind blows on that water constantly. I mean, out of the southwest this time of year. So those swings, I mean, what's going to keep them flopping around and kids getting in them and trying to, when we were kids, we try to go over you know what I'm saying? So wouldn't it be better to have just a stationary type benches down there? And then you got rust issues with the chains and.
Well, I think, this particular example is on the Curry Beach. I believe it's Curry Beach or Carolina Beach. They both have swings that are on the ocean front, which have probably an equal amount of wind, if not more, and probably the same amount of rust issues. I think what we could do, like we talked about, was have some signage about kids not misusing the equipment down there. Maybe put on the sign for the rules that requires adult supervision for the park. Probably a good thing to have on there anyways. And you might be able to restrict some of that. If you had something that came off to stop that chain from going too far, even if it's a piece of wood or something that would keep it within a certain swing area, you probably mount it on both of the 6x6s to kind of keep the track within that. I think there's probably something we could bring up.
I personally think they're beautiful swings if Ryerson can build something like your photo here.
Yes, yeah.
But in regards to the whole project, how soon that you can have this done? I mean, this question for Riley maybe too.
Yeah, I think
you got your bulkhead issue that we allocated $20,000 to that. So
yeah,
turnkey, when is the park going to be open if we approve this tonight?
So I would shoot for the end of June as the goal. I think that would give us enough time. Also heard it. You think that would probably?
Yeah, like I said, the biggest issue is just the safety issue with the bulkhead right now.
Okay.
Which we're trying to work hard on coming up with a solution for it.
Okay. I just want to add that I've had nothing but positive responses from the neighbors in that area in regard to the park. They've accepted it. They're anxious to see it open. It's going to be a beautiful facility, but I'd like to see it finish as fast as possible. I mean, buying something like that and not proceeding and to open it, it's just, I think you know where I stand on that. But yeah, I'm all for it. Thanks, sir. Any other comments, gentlemen? Don, do you have anything?
Commissioner Martin asked the exact question that I was wondering as far as when would this be done. I did not hear what the question was. I heard the question, but I couldn't hear the answer.
By the end of June.
Okay.
All goes well. We're gonna knock on some wood right now. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Don? Did we lose Don? You in favor? Yes, I read his lips.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next up is with the commissioner reports. I'll just start with Steve over there on the other end and work our way around. And let me would you pass that? Everybody gets a dip when they speak.
Use as a frisbee, just toss it.
Thank you. Want to repeat, Riley, welcome aboard. Looking forward to seeing improvements over there at Public Works. And, I want to thank TDR, especially Andrew, Gene Foxworth, Rudy Rudolph, Thomas Simpson, Moffett Nichols, and the landowners for accommodating the spoils. All doubt was removed. I was out of town last week. When I got back, I was really very pleased with the roads over in Bayshore. They went above and beyond what I thought they would do. It's a jam up project, benefits everybody in town. Anybody that has a boat Getting fishing reports from neighbors down there, schools of bluefish that hadn't been in there in years. Catching croakers and whatnot, whiting, and so I'm getting excited about that. And especially in my old years where I may not be able to put the boat in, I go sit on that new park down there and wet a line. So, but kudos to those people. Like I said, excellent job.
Yeah, I covered on the mics, and it's in your hands there, Mr. Mayor. I'm also going to send each of you a conceptual design for kayak storage racks, which we talked about putting in the next year. And then maybe at the next meeting, we can look at that and decide which parks we would want to put them and maybe get that thing rolling. I'll send the pictures that I took of the ones down in Morehead City to you. And I want to know where that chief got his hair cut.
On time.
That's all I have.
I'd like to thank the little people and the big people for letting us have this meeting tonight. Just kidding. Kudos to the Public Works. I made a phone call reference to some ditch issues to Zach, and y'all were done on the spot. I really sincerely appreciate it. The citizens greatly appreciate it as well. Thank you for jumping on that. Kudos to the police department as well. I know you guys are picking up a lot in your work, and I just ask you please to continue to be safe. And I've also noticed I had the staff here, the administrative staff, that you and Heather and Sandy and Barbara doing above and beyond what is underneath your job description. I'd like to say personally, thank you as a citizen and as a commissioner. Thank you.
All right, Jim, you got the microphone.
Nothing to report.
All right, Don, it's up to you.
I also want to thank Zach and all the town staff for everything that they have been doing for the past year as we've gone through this pandemic, keeping this town running. And I have high hopes that both of these two properties, the kayak launch and the property down on June, I hope that we can see both of these properties being utilized this summer before the end of the summer, so that we have something to show for what we've used tax dollars on to get something to better for recreation for the community. I hope we can get all of this in place and get both of them up and running. And other than that, I'm currently tonight on the outskirts of Asheville working until Thursday. And after watching the news as of the last couple of hours, I think I'm going to have to run out after the meeting tonight and hope I can get some gas to fill up in order to get home this week. But that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Don. I'd also like to thank the staff and Rudy and everybody with the county that was part of that process and that program, getting all that done and the roads paved. I rode by one day and it's like I saw the patches done. I'm like, well, they got some patches done, and rode by the next day and it's like, whoa, it's a brand new road. So did some awesome work. Contractors there just really did some great work. So I know, and a thank you to the people of Bayshore, because I know that was aggravating having to deal with that. That had to be just very frustrating. So thank you to them for their patience. And I've been Zooming like you would not believe in the past 2 weeks with different state organizations. I had a Zoom meeting with the mayors of the nation pretty much last week to discuss the rescue funds that we're hopefully going to be getting. And the whole gist of that meeting was hopefully discuss the guidelines of which we would be able to spend this money. And it turned into a 2-hour, everybody pat themselves on the back and talk about Christmas and what they wanted. So tomorrow I have another meeting, and hopefully we'll actually get some real information. They're supposed to have the guidelines done by today. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have some information, because being a smaller town, we've got different criteria we have to follow to get those funds. So we'll be acting, I know Zach's staying on top of it to make sure we get what we want, but that's going to be very nice for our infrastructure needs, that we can use this more. I think it's going to be about $900,000 is my estimate, close to that. Don't hold me to it, but it's going to be a nice bit of money to help us there. So I'm hoping that works out and we get that done. So I think the guidelines say we can use it for what I think we all agree on would be the infrastructure of the town for the ditches and the streets. I know there was some talk. I was in one Zoom meeting which was about utilities, water and sewer, but stormwater was also included in that conversation. And it's like a 99.9% chance, yes, we're going to be able to use that how we see fit in that aspect. So very happy with that. Other than that, I'm just going to end up and say thank you, Zach, and everybody here once again, the staff, and glad to have a new person in charge of public works. I think we're starting to see some things turn. It's been a very, very rough year for everybody. It's been very frustrating for me just trying to do all the meeting stuff, and hopefully we're going to turn that corner. And I love to see more people in here and smiling faces and more comments coming in at the beginning of the meetings, because I cherish this. This is what being a small town is all about. We have the exact same population as Mayberry. Did you know that? And when I see some of the shows, they had bigger buildings than we do, but that's the thing about a small town, is we should be able to have conversations. And when somebody like Trish comes here to speak, we're not going to be hitting a button at exactly 3 minutes. If they've got something to say, we're going to give them that extra time. And I appreciate your comments and the time everybody took to come here tonight. So moving on, the next thing is the discussion of the FY 2021-22 budget. We'll let Zach have that. And
2-minute break.
y'all want to take a little recess? We'll just do that. We'll take a little recess, and we'll bid our lawyer. Now's a good time. If y'all ready, we'll resume the meeting. Back in order. The last issue we have tonight is the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Zach, speaker over here by you. Everybody should have a hard copy in front of them. You need it.
Yep, and we also have the budget message here for the recommended budget. So, so feel free to go through that as well. But that is one of the statutory requirements, is that we provide that by June 1st. So we're meeting that statutory deadline by providing the budget message before June 1st. Brief overview. Currently, we stand at revenue of $1,868,217, which match expenditures of $1,868,217. The draft budget is balanced without a tax increase, and it reflects previous discussions at the budget workshops. Some of the updates that we made from the previous meeting: we updated the enterprise amounts, updated property and liability insurance amounts, added in the full street sign replacement amount, added funds to parks and recreation for the park, maintenance and dog waste stations, added in the Are You OK and neighborhood watch funds to the police department, added in additional funds for the skid steer, and then added in funds for asphalt for in-house road repairs. And let's see, and I'll pull up the actual budget here, and that's pretty much the rundown. If we could go through the police department and public works first, and then that way Ryan and Chief can head out after that. But whichever one y'all want to start off with, maybe start with public works here. Go through if there's any items on there that the board wants to discuss further.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Let me get the mic over here to you. Zach, at our last meeting, we talked about these grants that you're getting for, or you have obtained for skid steer loader and a inline chipper. Do you have estimates on those in hand, and what type of equipment is that?
Yes, we do have the estimate for the Bobcat skid steer loader. That comes out to, it's S70 Bobcat skid steer loader.
Excuse me, S70 or S170?
S70.
Is that a rubber tire or track?
And I'm not for that comes out to a total of $17,281.96.
Okay, does that include the bucket, tooth bucket, or is that any attachments? What attachments come with it? Bucket and pallet forks?
Yeah.
Okay. That's $2,281.96 over your $15,000 you're asking for. Is that right, Zach?
It's actually, we're coming in well below what we were anticipating. So luckily, be able to take a little bit of money out of that line because it was a $15,000 welcome back, and then it would be $15,000 coming from the grant. So we're actually at $17,281. We're too good for $10,000. So we could actually come down on that a little bit, and we can also put 5,000 local map on the inline chipper. We're estimating that's going to be at around $10,000 for a good solid chipper for us. We could go up a little bit on that since we do have a little bit more money to work with, but I had put in the additional $5,000 for the skid steer, thinking we might be higher, but based off of what we got, we could actually take that out and be able to reallocate those funds somewhere else in the budget.
Okay. Well, I'm not familiar with the S70. What are you going to use it for, Riley?
Loading, unloading, we get storm debris that we can't get exactly where we come from, move it out. The cool thing about the timers is different from the tracks, it won't mess up the road at all. And we're starting to get into more in-house asphalt repairs and everything like that. There's many attachments we can put on it as far as cleaning off the road.
Okay, is it big enough to accommodate a grapple bucket?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the S70 in the range of the Bobcats now, where's it fall at as far as the size?
It's on the lower end.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I just want to make sure you're getting the one that's big enough to do the job because, okay. Zach, before we actually vote on this budget, can you have any, I want to look at the specs if you don't mind on this. Have you got them? Okay, good. And on this inline chipper, what kind is it the kind that they use, tree companies use?
Some along those lines that can be minimal, but one that either we have or we have static and some works. I think the main idea would be, especially if we have good quality wood that we could use, get some good solid mulch material out of that, cedar or something else. Something that's got some insect resistance we could use in these beds around town hall and parks. But it would allow us to divert a portion of the waste stream to a reusable mulch source, which is the intent of this grant. So.
Okay, I'm just gonna check these specs. I'll get with Zach or you later. So that's all I have.
You got the mic, Mike.
On this section, I have no comment.
Okay.
Let's have one. You see getting the tires on the Bobcat and not the tracks, and that was the reason for what, and I'm sorry to hear you.
You won't really tear up, if you're gonna bring it on the road on a hard surface, you're not, tracks are more for in sandy soils and stuff like that. The tires are more, you're more driving on concrete, asphalt, and not have to worry about damage.
Good job.
So they're not getting stuff in you.
As far as the tires, it's more being able to mobilize it better.
Don, you got any comments, questions?
No, I don't have any questions on this.
Okay, so that's Public Works. Do you have any more questions, Public Works? If not, I'm gonna let the man go home. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Got any questions, please reach out to me.
Thank you. All right, let's do the chief. Then we get him out of here.
Now we're shifting gears over to the police department. And we've made sure that we had all the correct numbers in there for the 3 Dodge Chargers, as well as the enterprise maintenance tracking on the vehicles. We've got $1,500 in there for the graphics on 3 police vehicles. So we've got everything included in there. Be happy, either myself or Chief McKinney, to answer any questions that y'all have about the police department budget.
I have a question. Chief, you sure you got everybody in there you need?
Never.
I knew that.
We've increased our training budget, which I brought up that we needed to do. And then you mentioned leadership training, which just signed up for another 250 hours, level 2 leadership class.
Cool.
Through Richmond Community, so that's working out. So I think we're good to go. There's going to be a lot more consistency with maintenance once we get some new vehicles. We've had some major past month, and we actually have, I've had 3 vehicles in the repair shop at one time. So I now have 2 of those back, and there's still one to go at this time. So it's going to be nice to have some reliable vehicles
Any other questions? Police Department?
I have one question. Sure, we have enough money for the ammunition.
You asked about ammunition.
Keep on talking about shortage.
And let me know if you have any extra. Okay. But you're okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
It doesn't work for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have some good friends.
We're not.
You didn't hear that.
What's that?
Just make sure if there's a fire at my house, don't rush in.
I can't hear you. But I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Also have some good friends in
Uh-huh.
low places.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, sir. Don, did you have any questions about the police budget?
No question. No questions.
All right, if we don't have any more questions, then Chief, I appreciate your time. All right, where do you want to go next, Zach?
All right, so we can go back up to
Start at the beginning?
The beginning now. And we'll go to governing board.
I don't think we've had any issues on that. Any questions on the governing board, Jim? You done?
No questions.
No question. Any other questions, comments? Not, we'll move on to the general administration.
Got one comment.
Okay.
I've tried and tried to find
Okay, Don, you have any comments about the general administration budget line?
No questions.
All right, we'll move on to Parks and Recreation.
And we've added in the dog waste, $1,482 for the dog waste stations. We priced out the ones that just disperse the bags. The thought being that if we did the ones with the trash cans too, then we're gonna have to send somebody out there to constantly be emptying those. So we already have trash cans at every town park, so we're gonna put those right next to the town trash cans, and I think that'll be a lot more efficient and probably a lot cleaner. So.
Okay.
So that 106 is just for the dispenser.
Yeah, the 1,482, that's for all of the parks.
Yeah.
Make sure we got one at each park. And I think it's really good that we're doing that. I know that there was actually a water quality advisory at BOC Sound Park a week or two ago. So that there was high levels of, I think, fecal related bacteria in the water. So, you know, so
Training bears and dogs.
I meant to tell you that before you went swimming. But,
Extra flavoring.
I just want to say, see them on the trail at some point in time, maybe next year. We can never get enough for our parks and recreation, in my opinion. That's a huge benefit for every citizen in town. Maybe next year, do better, but good job.
All right, no other questions or comments about the Parks and Recreation? And I believe, Mike, you were going to get us a drawing for the kayak stands and. Okay, all righty. Okay, next up is planning and inspections.
so No changes are here. We
Okay.
did add in the NCAZO subscription, and that's to cover, since Mike Bishop has his CZO certification now, let's make sure we
Good.
keep his certification active. So,
Okay.
so congratulations to Mike on that.
It's a hardworking man.
One comment.
Go ahead, Mike.
When I first started here, we had a contract zoning officer over in Cedar Point office, and nothing was in control here. And while I wasn't happy with the fact that when we brought in Mike Bishop, that we're in police department or a portion of the Manhattan Police Department, the fact that we have now a full-time good zoning officer who's riding around the town, the other things, has really worked well so that we can control the things that we weren't able to control 20 years ago. So I think that's, I like it.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I think the hybrid position's proven to be very effective. Mike's doing a fantastic job. King said, there's no use in having the ordinance, you can't enforce it.
Right.
He does a great job. I was glad to be a part of that. A couple years ago, when we started that hybrid position. Hope we can keep it for quite some time.
All right. Don, did you have any comments? Did you hear me, Don? Just wondering if you had any comments.
Yeah,
He's for-
I apologize. I can hear you, Mayor. No, no comments. I'm having issues.
Okay.
I think my internet connection's coming and going.
Yeah, you're freezing up every now and then, but as long as you can hear. Throw your hand up if something goes crazy and we'll recognize you. All right, so now we skip down to the environmental and emergency preparation, which is the last on the list.
Yes, we got Powell.
Powell, I'm sorry. Did I go too far?
It might be the.
I have been jumping around. Sorry, that's my bad. I tried, didn't I? So Powell bill, I'm sorry, Powell bill.
I did add some additional funds, $11,667 for in-house patchwork that the Public Works Department will be doing. So that should give us a pretty good amount of asphalt to work with. So it's amazing when you go get the asphalt yourself and put it down, just how cost efficient that can be. So really excited with Ryan being on board. I think we're going to be able to hit a lot of spots and get a lot of stuff done. So want to make sure we have the money in the budget to be able to do that. So make sure we put some more in that line on it. So.
Zach, will that be used for like when we allocated you $30,000 on culvert repairs? And I understand you're going to stockpile gravel and just the culverts themselves. So will that asphalt money be used for that type of thing, for patching, for cut out?
Yeah, we can use it when we cut out the road or culvert or for potholes. We were paying like something like $80 a ton. So really, I mean, if you compare that to what we pay for our paving contracts, we can really get, and the asphalt roller has come in. So excited to share that as well. We're just waiting on the tilt trailer. As soon as that's in, then we'll be able to get out there and do some serious road work. So we're excited for that.
Any other comments from the Powell? Don, you have any comments?
No, no comments.
All right. Public grounds and utilities and buildings.
Got a little bit more money in there for addressing some of the building repair needs, painting the exterior of this building, which is long overdue. So that is something hopefully we can get done after July 1st. And then also did the full amount to replace all street signs and stop signs throughout the town. So to go ahead and knock all of those out. Now, that being said, I think it'll probably be after getting more into the fall when things slow down before we can get to that. But, and I actually think that would probably be wise, so we see how these ones put up do during hurricane season. We have some prototypes out there now. We'll kind of see how those hold up. But I did send everything off to the Department of Transportation, and we have a model design for all of our street signs that shows the configuration of the stop sign, orientation of the street signs, heights, all that stuff. And they've given us the okay on that. So we do have that formally from them, which is good. And that'll be the model template that Ryan can use throughout town whenever they go out there to replace a street sign. So, but that'll probably be more towards the fall, I would estimate, just with the amount of project work we got going on with different projects right now. But definitely, I think it would be great to, especially, that's a great wintertime thing as well.
Right.
Because they can focus on that when the grass is not growing and everything else is pulling them a different direction. So.
I had a lot of good comments on the new look of the signs. They're a lot more presentable. Any comments? Public grounds, utilities, and buildings, gentlemen. Yes, Steve.
Zach, I would ask that you, back to the citizens that we are budgeting all new signs.
Okay.
Second, on the storm shutters, and I think Mr. King sent an email somewhere you can respond to. What was the total price of those storm shutters?
Let's see. That was $22,365.07, and that was back when we had gotten that. That was that's probably going to be a little bit higher than that. That was factoring in a January installation date, but we might be able. So these windows in here, when we replaced these, we went with the hurricane windows. So really, we need to get them on the front of the building because there's so many holes in the center block there that it's becoming an issue with the integrity of the cinder block every time we keep on drilling new holes. So we need to patch them and then do something where we can actually have a pull down shutter. So I think that would be helpful. So if we could at least get the front of the building done and get some of those main windows, I think that would be a big accomplishment. Like I said, this was factoring in the 5% discount for doing it in January. So yeah, because they had taken 1,124 off the price. And I know that they're probably way backlogged. So this might even be something that ends up happening, after this hurricane season, just based off of, I know that they're sometimes booked months out before they can get out here and do it. So we might be able to get a discount because it might end up being next winter anyway. So, but just want to make sure we have that money in there so we can go ahead and do that.
Okay. How much is the roof estimate? It keeps saying possible new roof. Are we going to put a new roof on it or not? And if so, how much is it?
The most,
$20,000.
yeah, the most recent estimate I've got is $16,984. So,
I would question the need for that. That was put on in 2008 or not. The roof that's on there now. That case.
we've had almost continuous issues with leaks over there. I'd really recommend that we do make some that we do make those that replacement of the roof, because Public Works has patched that just about every time it rains. They have a leak, it destroys the ceiling tiles. We have to buy new ceiling tiles, and with having tenants in there, I think really what we need to do.
Okay, well, that in your shutters and your roofs, $40,000. Just throwing that at you.
Any other questions, comments? Don, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right.
yeah, I just wanted to check, yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that'll leave us with about $27,000 if we do both of those projects.
Okay.
And our usual annual budget for that is 24,000. So yeah, but I think we should have enough to do that. You know, because we're planning to do all the painting in house. So I do think we'll be able to do that. We do have a paint sprayer and all that. So I think we'll be able to accomplish that. with that amount.
Going back to what you said a few minutes ago about possibly just doing the front, the shutters on the front, that would free up that extra money.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we should.
Just want to make sure the building gets painted.
Yeah, but I'll definitely want to paint it, and if we have money left over to do some of the fixtures and things and try to bring us into a little bit more aesthetically pleasing exterior. So, you know, we've got some dated fixtures out there.
Wasn't this a fire station at one point? The history of the building? Okay. All right, so next up is the environmental and emergency preparation.
All right, so no changes in this. Yeah, no changes in this department since our last meeting. Everything has stayed the same. So.
All right, any questions? Don, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we're gonna motion on this tonight or do it?
Do you need a motion tonight?
We could do it tonight.
We can do it tonight unless there's something you guys think is outstanding. We can go ahead and knock it out. I mean, everything looks good to me.
We'll need to do a public hearing on it. So
Yeah.
If we could go to the next stage, you know, and have a public hearing in June, but if everything looks good, then we can just have the public hearing component in June and be good to go. So.
All right, so I have a motion. No, Steve spoke up. You want a second? Okay. All right, all in favor? I'm sorry, let me have a little more discussion. Commissioner King.
What I'd like to say has nothing to do with war, but I just want people to hear this, because when I came down to this area, the coast, and I saw this town, middle-class families this close to the water, I said, I've traveled from Florida to Nova Scotia, and you will not find a middle-class residence like we have here hardly anywhere. That can last forever. And I think by our action of trying to keep these budgets low, we can delay that. I don't think we can prevent it, but 50 years from now, this will not be a middle-class community. Okay? This won't be, it'll price itself right out, which is happening in Nova Scotia and Florida. So on the coast. So
Thanks, Mike. Making me feel good.
Well,
50 years old, it'd be me.
well, I won't be here either, but that's what's happening. I grew up on the shores of Long Island Sound, where it was just like that. Just a bunch of people, all my people have had to move out because of what's happened, the growth in taxes and the appreciation.
Yep.
So, anyway, thank you for taking the input we have.
Once again, good job.
All right. Any other discussion, Don?
No, none.
All right, then I'll call for the vote then. All in favor? And Don's raised his hand. Motion carries 5-0. Budget is approved. And we'll do a public notice and have that set up for June. I would like to remind everybody, when you going on vacation? You taking? All right, so gentlemen, if you would, please refrain from calling the man. Give him 2 weeks. He deserves it. If you have an emergency, naturally, that's one thing, but let's let the man enjoy 2 weeks off, shall we? And I hope you have a great vacation.
Yes. Oh, I had
Not
to take
since
one
I've
with
been
some
here,
anyway.
so you go and you enjoy that, sir. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All right, all in favor? Thank you. I ain't discussing that. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for being here. And thank you, staff.